training division. There I studied gemology initially, and then I did London exams, that is FGA I did in 1981, and then joined National Gem. Those days it was called State Gem Corporation. I joined State Gem Corporation as a sales assistant, and then from there, after some time, I got the chance of shifting myself to gem testing laboratory because of my qualification. And then from there onwards, I got further training in Germany, and then
where did you go? Was it in Ida Oberstein?
Yeah, it was in Ida Oberstein.
It's the Gemological
Institute of Ida Oberstein.
How long were you there for?
I was there almost for 10 months.
And currently, what position do you hold at the gem testing laboratory?
Yeah, I am a valuer gemologist.
Can you talk about a little about how gem testing has evolved from the time you joined Gem Corporation to now? What you have seen as the evolution of the laboratory and testing?
Yeah, it was initially the laboratory was set up to test stones that were purchased by State Gem Corporation to facilitate purchasing division, and then gradually we shifted to testing and certification, and we are at a certain level now.
How have you seen equipment evolve?
Yeah, it's it's this standard set of conventional instruments which has got better from time to with the time, but we are doing it with those instruments.
What did you find as a benefit studying in Ida Oberstein opposed to having a correspondence FGA course?
Ida Oberstein is more practically oriented. It's a practical oriented course where you do hundreds of stones, maybe 100 stones a day, whereas a correspondence course gives you material and few stones. That is the main difference.
So
but should I mention
a lot more hands-on experience in Ida Oberstein,
yeah,
and be able to see specimens that you wouldn't see normally in a correspondence.
No, yeah, you will see hundreds and hundreds of specimens.
Can you talk a little about the evolution of the market from the time you started? Because I believe at the time you started, treatment was not being done in this country. The knowledge of gemology was at a very infantile state in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and treatments, we'll say it was there for rubies and lightning color, things like that were there with this blowpipe type of technique, but not the types of treatment that is there at the moment. Yeah, you get various treatments. You give additives to the stone.
Sorry.
Yeah. Such treatments were not there at that time, but now you get different treatments where you give foreign material to the stone to enhance the color, maybe color or clarity or both, in that sense.
Can you talk a little about Geudas and the role that the Thais have played in rough material in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, actually, if I go to the beginning, we'll say early 70s also, it was Thais who really started going after this material. At that time, Sri Lankan miners were throwing Geuda away back into the pits, but Thais somehow or the other developed this technique and they came after Geuda. After some time, our traders also, or our treaters, really, they also mastered the technique, and then they started treating, and now Thais are getting a tough competition from our heat treaters.
When I was interviewing other traders, I was informed that there is a bilateral treaty or a treaty with Thailand, as they are the only country that can export Geudas out of this country. Is this factual?
They are not the only, but there is a treaty to prevent stones going underhand. Thai government and the Sri Lankan government those days in 80s signed a treaty which legalized the process, which has to go through those National Gem and Jewelry Authority. So that treaty is there.
Whereas
And they are not the sole. Anybody could take stones out. Geuda could be taken by anybody, but not solely by them.
But it's not a exclusive treaty. It's for anyone.
At that time the requirement was that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the practice is there. Going stones to Thailand or to any other country won't make any difference. So anybody could take Geuda to any other country, but mainly it is taken to Thailand.
Is it factual to say that rough exports from this country is illegal?
Yes, not prohibited, not allowed. It's prohibited. Yeah.
So this keeps the processing and cutting of the gemstone within Sri Lanka's boundaries.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it gives job opportunities as well as there is a great value enhancement once you cut and polish a stone, or heat treat and cut and polish a stone, so that wealth is to be retained in the country. It has to be here rather than going it in rough form.
How long have you been in the government laboratory, testing laboratory?
It is about, we'll say, 15 years. I have been in various places. I have been in the laboratory for about 9 years at the beginning. Then I got myself shifted to Research and Training Institute. After about another 5-6 years there, now I am here again for another period of 5 years.
What have you seen as far as treatment methods that come to you? What evolution of treatments have you seen since you first began to the current?
Yeah, and those days, we'll say in early 80s, it was mainly heat treatment of ruby really, and then few other sapphires, blue and then stones like that. But now you get heat treatment plus beryllium diffusion, glass filling, surface diffusion and things like that. And
so you could say that it's become a lot more sophisticated.
It has become a lot more complicated.
So
we'll say,
for
not
a gemologist,
sophisticated.
it's a lot harder job
Yeah,
now.
yeah, but if you work with good consciousness, well, you can manage it.
Can you talk a little about beryllium treatment and what you all use to ascertain low temperature beryllium treatment?
Yes, beryllium treatment is giving beryllium into the stone to give yellow color initially and to improve clarity of the stone. Right? In this, yellow color could be observed when the stone is immersed in, we'll say, either water or even methylene iodide. So what we do is when there is a doubt, or practically all the stones that we get, sapphires, we immerse in water initially and then in methylene iodide to see whether this yellow rim is there. Plus, under magnification, you will see minute crystal formations on the surface of the stone at times, and inside the stone as well. Whenever there are openings, we'll say fractures, feathers, and things like that. There you get beryllium oxide getting crystallized as phenakite.
What are the other treatments that you find that have evolved in Sri Lanka?
Well, you get X-ray treatment or exposure of yellow stones to X-rays and gamma. Really, it is gamma radiation. That is there, but that is again illegal, and then it's not allowed. And there is always action taken against wherever possible to stop this type of treatment.
Are you using Geiger counters to check?
Well, of course, we don't use Geiger counters, but we get the assistance of Atomic Energy Authority whenever it is required. They are there. We work in hand to test and decide on the material if there is a doubt. That is at the point of entry and exit.
But how do you know that this stone may have been irradiated.
Yeah, they are again